Julianne Murphy here with LaPuraVidaCostaRica.com, expat living blog in Costa Rica, and also courtesy of South Pacific Costa Rica Real Estate. Today we're talking, this is day 22 of 30 days of expat living in Costa Rica. This is a little mini series that I put together as part of my blog and video blogging for your benefit, and I'm sharing it in a number of places, not just one. So today we're going to talk about wire transfers. I know there's a lot of information out there about opening a bank account in Costa Rica, so I'm not going to necessarily do anything on that, unless that's of interest, and if so, please let me know. But I do want to talk about wire transfers. Obviously, lots of times when a new expat moves to town or moves anywhere in Costa Rica, they need to bring in money. You currently can bring in up to $10,000 legally in cash, whether via land, via air, or whatever. Via land, obviously, it's probably a different deal, but via the airlines, you can bring in $10,000 cash. But anything above that, you're going to need to do a wire transfer, unless you do several trips. The reason I'm mentioning this is specific to real estate investments, but it's also true if you just need to bring money to put in a bank account, basically, over the amount of $10,000. For those of us from North America specifically, actually it's pretty much global now at this point, but specifically for those of us from the United States, we in the past 5 years or so have had to start dealing with the impact of FATCA. The acronym is FATCA, I believe, might be FACTA, but anyway, check that. You can get all the details of that law that went into, which effect 5 or 6 years ago by the U.S. government. And essentially, it now requires that any country doing business with the U.S., including partner banks or banks that act as a go-between between the U.S. and their country banks, has to comply with U.S. reporting for U.S. citizens. Frankly, to be honest, it's a huge pain in the butt is what FATCA is. It requires all kinds of paperwork that when you move anywhere outside the country, you now have to do all kinds of crazy paperwork to prove that you're not a crook and to prove that you're not money laundering and so on and so on. It adds a lot of work. It takes time. That probably is a whole nother post I should talk about. But in terms of wire transfers, it also has a big impact. So say you're sending in $50,000 to $100,000 or more for a real estate transaction, or for anything, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it's from. You, here in Costa Rica, you have to claim where the money's coming from. Of course, that's normally part of the wire transfer, who it's coming from, what bank account, and so forth, even though you send it from the other end. But if you're sending money into Costa Rica, whatever account it's coming into here, whether it's in a personal name or a corporate name, which is often the case for real estate and other assets, you need to provide to the bank, the recipient bank, on your behalf. You need to provide where it's coming from, the person it's coming from, which they're going to know, the account it's coming from, normally 3 to 6 months of bank statements for that account to prove that you're not money laundering. And once then you receive notification that the wire transfer has hit soil here in Costa Rica at your recipient bank, you probably are going to need to follow up. There's a whole department now, because this probably existed before, but it probably has more personnel now because of FATCA, and with that, it means that your wire transfer is not usually going to be credited for up to 2 weeks. And this is not a joke, guys. I don't money launder and have no issues whatsoever. I pay my taxes every single year in the States. But I was, last year or the year before, have several times brought in numbers of money above $10,000 and needed to, even if I'm getting paid by somebody, they still want to know where it's coming from. So you have to prove where the money's coming from, and if there's any doubts at all, they won't accept the wire transfer. That's just the way it is. But for those of us that are legal people and have a right to the money, whether we've earned it or it's been a gift or it's come from someone or one of our own accounts in another country, it can be, frankly, a painful process. So what I do now, I have accounts at Banco Costa Rica, and this is not specific to them. As soon as I know that a wire has been sent from my other account, wherever it is, and been received here, according to the other end, I then contact my guy. I send him an email. I attach whatever is necessary, and normally I try to actually do this beforehand. Got a little bee or something flitting around. And then I follow the process. But I have had wires here delayed up to 2 full weeks. People in this global society say, what? How is that even possible? How can somebody hold your money for that long? They can, bottom line. So Hope that's helpful to you. It's really important whether you're doing real estate transactions or any kind of transactions that you keep this in mind, because if you're hoping to do a closing in 2-3 days and you send the money assuming it's going to be here in 2-3 days, it's not. It's just not going to happen. My husband has a client, and the guy was sending money from the U.S. to purchase a new vehicle here in Costa Rica, and that transfer took more than 5 business days. So amazing, but it's the truth. So for more on expat living, go to lapuravitacostarica.com. This is video 22 of 30 days of videos, or 30 days worth of videos that I'm doing over longer than 30 days. I have to work too. And if you're interested in the Costa Ballena, Costa Rica area, South Pacific Costa Rica real estate, go to our website at CostaRicaPacificRealEstate.com. Talk to you soon. See you soon. Feel free to comment. Thanks.